Hey fellas, so it's time for another little dip in the Disney Plus hole before this month is out, and it's a leap year, so that means I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different, in which I'm gonna be looking at a sequel. Oh, that was one of their DTV films released 20 years ago today. I mean, it's the only time we'll be able to do this. An extremely goofy movie since my last one was involving Goof Troop, so here's the second dip of Goofy here. So the story revolves around how Max Goof headed to college, which causes Goofy the elder to suffer a bit of empty nest syndrome, as well as to subsequently lose his job as a result. While Max is enjoying time with his friends, and as well as participating in the college X Games because 2000, especially it was still close to the 90s, you could do away with this, doing this unironically. As Goofy trying to find work, it turns out it's not that easy without a college degrees, which was to complete his studies, which tends to put him at odds with his son Max, which, and it's definitely a couple kind of stories I have a soft spot for, trying to navigate the complex relations of extended study, as well as trying to grow up without growing apart. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Hmm. So, anyone who's been into the company and their work knows that Disney's DTV sequels often hit or miss. I'm definitely going to be. That's why I decided to start with this one first, because this is actually one of the ones I think is actually kind of decent, and also just how strange it is. This artifact, looking back on it about 20 years later, I mean, very much of its time, much like how the first one 5 years prior, which I will be looking at in April, was 25th anniversary, mind you, just so you know. And so, especially in regards to how Goofy himself hasn't been into the 70s, which is the last time he took classes, as well as befriending a librarian who also grew up in that time period, I mean, which also shows how, unless you're doing a little bit of period piece, nowadays you'd have to set in a whole different time frame. And much like how last year was the 80s, heck, we're just really now starting to get really tapping in the 90s with that kind of stuff now, so. And for its time, the animation is actually kind of decent, and I'm actually surprised given the denouement. I mean, I think they had to edit some copies given what happened a year later, but I'm guessing the one that Disney Plus is using for the stream aim is actually was gotten before or 2001. So, and of course, the voice acting is quite solid across the board, especially in the case of how a lot of people that worked on the TV show, such as Jim Cummings, as well as Pete, and especially Rob Paulson, and as well as PJ, who is definitely still quite endearing, even though it's kind of similar to his Carl Weezer voice. Oh, Rob, don't ever change. So, I just thought I would get you something else just kind of easy. Yeah, and even though this may not be the best DTV Disney sequel I've seen, it's definitely not the worst either, especially given how I'm thinking this is going to be in the near future. Got me filling the same role of having the content there, because nowadays it's not quite as the same stigma as it had before, where they're trying to get more the same kind of writing, acting, production as you would see in one of the theatrical films now. Now, even just for something as simple as like Forky, when Toy Story 4 asking questions about day-to-day life, I mean, I never thought I'd get so much existential material out of a sport, but there you go. Alright, so I guess I'll see you in. I'll definitely look at a Goofy movie for its 25th anniversary, which will be in April, I believe. So, anyway, yeah, I'll be off for now. Happy Leap Day. See you all in February, and see you all in March, and I will talk to you all later.